Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show, highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyles, community, and neighborhood. And now, from Four Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, we're getting through October, and we're going to be spending the next couple of weeks with Election Day coming on November the 7th in Moore County. Mm-hmm. We have an opportunity this week, next week, and the following week to be speaking to some of the passionate and dedicated people who are running for various offices. Today we're going to be focusing on the Town Council of Southern Pines, and we have the four candidates with us today. Marsh Smith, Carol Haney, Mitch Lancaster, and Daniel Kohn. And these guys are all nice enough to come in, and we want to give everybody a chance to inform the voters about who they are. You know, today we want to go past all the signs that are out, because by the way, guys, I see all your signs, and they do a great job. But we want to put a little bit of gravitas behind the signs so people know who you are, where you stand, why you're running. And we're going to be doing this next week with Pinehurst and the following week with Aberdeen. So it's a great opportunity for us to let people be informed, because one of the things, and I have to just throw this out there before we even start, why is it that people don't vote? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's
sad,
crazy. Mm-hmm. People are informed. People love Southern Pines. People love living here. You guys are all passionate, and then people don't vote, and they just think, well, it'll all be taken care of. Lessons learned, right? Anyway, it was a rhetorical question. I'm not going to make any of you answer it at this point. From what I understand, there are 2 council seats up for election, and the 4 of you are vying for those 2 seats. We want to give a format today that is similar to the League of Women Voters, which is held on the 3rd of October. So we want each candidate to introduce themselves, and we want to give you 3 minutes to do so. And tell us why you want to serve on the Southern Pines Town Council, and essentially why the voters should vote for you. Al Magnum of WEEB is going to be the timekeeper. And Al, thanks for setting this up and coordinating this, because we do want people to be aware of what's going on. So when Election Day does come around, people know what they're voting for, right? Make sense? Carol, let's start with you.
Okay.
You're currently sitting on the town council.
Yes, I'm currently serving.
And so I guess I want to just ask you the question why you're running, and just a little bit about you.
Okay. Thank you, Bill, and the other candidates. My name is Carol Haney, and I am running for Southern Pines Town Council. My father was a career military officer, so we lived all over the world, but I was very glad to have lived and loved and served this community for over 30 years. We raised our girls, Beth and Sarah, here. They both graduated from Pinecrest High School, and they attended the Blue School in Chapel Hill. I'm a big fan of football, but it has been a pretty tough season. Yeah. I'm proud to have my almost 93-year-old mother living in Southern Pines, and just an aside, she worked the polls for over 40 years. I'm also a very proud grandmother of 4, Will, Sarah, Emerson, and Griffin. I've served on many boards, Habitat, Coalition, Sister City, Realtors, the Phoenix Foundation, the Susan G. Komen Triangle to the Coast, Keep Moore County Beautiful as chair. And I was the chair of the Southern Pines Appearance Commission, and while chair, we added the brick walkways, the welcome signs, the Southern Pines banner, and the Civic Club and the Master Gardeners got involved with the beautiful pots that we had downtown, along with the tree committee, and the town budgeted $10,000 for the trees. I've served as a Southern Pines Rotary past president, and I'm currently the assistant district governor for our Rotary area. I'm very involved in Brownson Presbyterian Church. I've been in the choir for over 20 years. You'd think I'd be a better singer, but that's...
We're going to have you sing shortly.
Yeah, just don't do that. I'm a backup singer.
Okay.
And I attend Bible studies and Sunday school. I'm currently serving on the Southern Pines Town Council. I was appointed last fall. And I am I represent the town to the Triangle J, and I'm on the Pool Splash Pad Committee. I've been appointed for that, too. And I have served on the local board of realtors along with you, and I'm a full-time realtor. And in my neighborhood, I'm in the book club, and I love to read. So all those experiences have sealed my belief and vision for Southern Pines. Public, private, and government partnerships can and must work together for common good. They have shaped my understanding and skills on how to deal with issues and people.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. We're going to switch, and Daniel, I'm going to introduce you. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning as well. Daniel Kohn, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
And I will speak to the question and fill everybody in on some of my background. I've been in the area since the early 90s. I spent some time, actually lived over in Aberdeen, our nearby neighbor, for a while. So I'm familiar with that community. But also probably trying to think, in the last 10 years, it was right around 9 or 10 years ago, I was fortunate enough to find a house in downtown Southern Pines, tiny cottage. I will say it seems like it was as hard then as it is for people now to find houses, at least with a garage. If you want to live in Southern Pines, that seems to be a thing. So
especially in town, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I am currently the chair of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Very passionate. I really believe in that committee. I was on an early steering committee with some that former leadership had put together to develop that transportation plan. I think it's very important for a community of any size, but especially ours, to have some of those tools. I also sat on the Midland Road committee. I believe I was adjunct liaison really to them, mostly with the background of what we knew on the transportation side and some of our working relationships with the DOT folks. We knew some of the challenges on that road. I'd also like to bring up and just mention, maybe people know about it or don't know about it. Tomorrow is Bike to School Day, which is a program that between the Bike Ped Committee, the town, the school educators, and the town staff, we've successfully had that in place now for several years, and it's really fun to see the kids come out and get excited and follow the rules for about 2.5 minutes before they start riding all over the roads and drive the police crazy. So I've been fortunate enough to work with council over the years here in the town, work with community members, volunteered. I've supported various things, and I've also been fortunate to work with some of our town personnel who have bring some great talents to the table. So.
Thank you very much. What's going to become apparent as we speak to everybody at this table is that everybody shares a very strong passion for Southern Pines. I already hear that in between the lines, and I think we're going to continue to hear that. We're going to go in alphabetical order this time around, and we're going to flip-flop it the next time around. So we're going to introduce Mitch Lancaster. Lancaster or Lancaster?
Lancaster.
Okay. If it was Pennsylvania, it's Lancaster.
Yeah, it's been both, so it's fine.
Well, good morning.
Either way works.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we just want to ask you why you're running and to introduce yourself to the people of Southern Pines.
Okay, I'll give a little background first. So I grew up in a small town in North Carolina called Windsor. It's about 2,000 people, and went to NC State and lived in Raleigh for a long time, and we do have a very good football team this year, Carol.
Yes, I'm
so
aware.
We're gonna take advantage of this one time.
That's right.
And so I shortly after getting out, we started our first company called ATM USA, and that is a cash machine company, and we're about to have our 20th anniversary. And then I met my wife up there, and we had a couple boys up there. And my parents actually were living down in Wood Lake and still live in Woodlake, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And we would come down and we would visit. I had friends here in town, and it doesn't take long to fall in love with Southern Pines.
Right.
So we decided to move, and we found an old house close to downtown, right near Weymouth, and fixed it up mostly. And we've just loved every minute of being here. It's a fantastic town, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
You meet great people, and it's a town that
doesn't
that
it
really
remind
packs
you?
it
Doesn't it
on
take you back to yesteryear? It reminds
Mhm.
you of a town you grew up in.
Yeah, well, it's.
Windsor.
I mean, Windsor's a lot smaller.
Okay, so this is a big city.
We had a Hardee's and Mama's Pizza.
Yeah.
And that was about it. And that's. I mean, that's. It's the restaurants here.
Yeah.
The other activities, and now with the influx of young families, there's kids and families everywhere. What got me? After I moved down here. After I moved down here, I got involved. I'm in the Boys and Girls Club, the Development Committee. I'm in Young Life, involved with that organization, and the Rotary Club. And so that's gotten me extremely involved in the community. I mean, if you're in Rotary Club, you're basically involved in the whole entire community.
That's right.
And so that's what's led me here. I've always been interested in politics, and I was asked by a couple people to run, and I see it as an opportunity to help and to ensure that Southern Pines continues to thrive.
Well said. Thank you. The passion is obvious, but the other thing that's implicit at this table is that it's a privilege to live in Southern Pines. And everyone who is here, I know, feels that way. And no one more than our next speaker, Marsh Smith, who also is very passionate about the town. And we would like you to introduce yourself, even though you don't need an introduction. You've been here before.
Well, you're too kind.
Well, you're a native of the area?
My dad retired from the military and moved back here when I was 1. So I've been here since 1959.
You qualify.
I used to come to this radio station when I was at Pinecrest High School Key Club, and we would do programs here. We had a lot of fun in this radio station. So my history in Southern Pines propels me into running. You could say that I didn't have the happiest childhood. My mother and father divorced when I was pretty young, and my dad raised me. And when I was feeling down, the woods and the swamps and the farm fields were of great comfort to me. And as I made my way through high school, I noticed one after the other special places that I valued greatly changed. Otter Pond was really close to Pinecrest High School on senior skip day, and no matter what the school board tells you, there is such a thing as senior skip day. We would go to Otter Pond, and we'd swim and play games and have fun. Otter Pond is now a water hazard on a golf course, and it's no longer its old self. It's gone. And I've noticed all my life what my friends who recently moved here have just started to notice, that the traffic congestion is impairing the quality of life. Special places where people enjoy riding bicycles without risking life and limb are going away. In fact, you talk to many people who are with the Sandhill Cycle Club, they can't ride to where they bicycle anymore on their bike. They put their bike on the back of their car and drive out to where they're going to ride their bicycles. So things are changing. And I've attended Southern Pines Town Council meetings since 1990. I've studied growth and ways to have economic development without sprawl. I devoted my life to studying that. And there are ways to achieve prosperity without converting farms and forests into rooftops and parking lots. One day we will have to figure out how to do that here, because we will run out of land. I would just simply propose that we learn how to do that while we still have some farms and forests around. And then it will be worthwhile to have economic development because we'll have a great quality of life to accompany that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Marsh, and thank you all for those opening statements. In the next set, when we come back, we want to speak about, and we've kind of almost touched a little bit on it, Marsh, with you, the issues that are most important to you and the issues that you want to educate the people about, and what are those important issues to you, and what should people be thinking about when they go to the polls on the 7th of November. I've had the privilege of doing this show for 8.5 years, and whenever we've done shows that revolved around Southern Pines, everybody who lives here is so passionate about being here, and there's talk about everybody wants the charm of this town and what makes it work and tick, and people have different methods or ways to preserve it or to make it grow, to be attractive for growth, but that's an issue. Hopefully we'll get into it in the next set. We're speaking with the 4 candidates who are running for Southern Pines Town Council on Tuesday, November the 7th. There are 2 seats that are available this go-round, and we're speaking with Carol Haney, Marsh Smith, Mitch Lancaster, and Daniel Kohn, and we'll be back in the second set, and we'll focus on the issues as we return. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to All Things Moore County. Our program today is discussing the Southern Pines Town Council and the candidates who are running for office on November the 7th. These are 4-year terms, and we have 4 guests with us, 3 gentlemen and 1 lady, and 1 lady and 3 gentlemen, Mitch Lancaster, Daniel Kohn, Carol Haney, and Marsh Smith. Next week, we're going to be speaking with people running in Pinehurst, and the week after that in Aberdeen. And WEEB is glad to provide this as public information. And Al Mangum set this up, and I appreciate it. And I asked a question in the first set about why people don't vote. In this particular set, hopefully we can get people interested and engaged. The demographics in Moore County and in Southern Pines in particular have changed drastically in the last 10 years. And there are people who are here who have only been here a few years, and it's younger. There's a lot of military. It's very possible that some of the issues have been altered and people don't have a history here. And then there are people who have lived here for quite a long time and cherish Southern Pines. I want to talk to each one of you and ask you, and Marsh, I want to start with you. We want to give each person about 4 minutes to speak about the issues that are most important to you and what your positions are on them and what you would like to do if elected.
The most important issue is quality of life, but so many other issues feed into that. Economic development is there for quality of life. If we start looking at economic development for its own sake, we lose sight of the true purpose of economic development, which is to serve human needs here in Southern Pines and in the wider community around Southern Pines, including Moore County. So when I look at quality of life, I'm thinking of economic development as well as not having the town completely overrun by out-of-control traffic that is generated by decisions made by prior town councils years and even decades ago. I've told the town council this, and I think it bears repeating. Making planning decisions, zoning decisions, is like playing the organ at Wrigley Field. One of my dad's friends used to do that, and he said the hardest thing about playing the organ at Wrigley Field was not hearing the notes for a second or so after he touched the keys. And that's what happens here at Southern Pines, only the delay is much longer than seconds. It's years. And the council that made the decision that caused huge unmanageable amounts of traffic on Highway 22, PD Road, other places, East Indiana Avenue, Fort Bragg Road, East Connecticut, those decisions got made decades ago. So it's easy to make the mistake and then move on from the council, and you're not around to be held accountable. I've lived here for many years, 58 years, except for times when I was in college, on the lam from college, or doing military service. I've been here in Southern Pines, and I've seen it. So quality of life is my main issue.
And aside from, traffic is one way to identify it, but there are other growth isn't just measured by traffic. There are other aspects to it. Do you want to speak about that?
Traffic is a symptom,
right,
of out of control growth that wasn't planned very well. One of the things that's facing the town is the Moore County School Board's outrageously irrational decision to abandon the Southern Pines Primary School and the Southern Pines Elementary School and build a replacement school further from the center of town. Mm-hmm. Our wonderful traditional downtown business area, which everybody cherishes, depends on having a traditional town to support it. Part and parcel of that is having schools near the center of town. Mm-hmm. You can't do away with accoutrements of a traditional town and expect the traditional downtown business area to continue to thrive. It's irrational. It does not follow.
Are we, and I just wanted to wrap up with you real quickly, too. Water is also, with growth, water issues, concerns about water.
We built a reservoir to the south of town.
Right.
And it would serve our needs if it didn't have out-of-control growth to contend with. Uh-huh. But that's what we have, and its capacity will be reached sooner rather than later because people look at it, developers look at it as a permission slip to build developments that don't serve the quality of life needs of residents who live here already and who have lived here for decades.
Okay. Thank you very much. We want to give each candidate a chance to talk about, I guess, a platform or just their overview of the issues that they see that are pressing. And since we're going to go in reverse alphabetical order, I think, Mitch Lancaster, you are next up to talk about the issues that are most concerned to you and what your priorities would be if elected to town council.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The first, and I think it's the most important, regardless of what major issues you're talking about, is the fiscal management of the town. You have to have good budgeting. You have to have prudent spending. Regardless of the revenues coming in, you've got to manage your expenditures well. Now, we're facing some challenges. Healthcare costs are going up. Our tax base, the growth of our tax base is slowing. So the values of our homes are slowing down, mm-hmm. and that is putting a strain. And it's been that way for some time, under 1% sometimes. So we need to be careful in setting our long-term spending priorities so we can avoid higher taxes in the future. And I think that my background as a business owner will help me tackle some of those issues. Now, the second issue, which is closely tied to fiscal management, is infrastructure. I think the town's done a good job over the last 20 years of not deferring needed improvements on our roads, our sewers, and our water lines. However, we don't want to find ourselves in the position that the county and the schools are currently in, where they kick the can down the road mm-hmm. when it comes to rehabbing old schools and building new schools. And so they're now in a position where they're going to require huge tax increases. Now, I support the schools. I certainly differ for Marsh on this. But that's huge. I mean, you've got to take care of your infrastructure, and so those are my first two, and I believe the most important issues. Now, growth is. I mean, I think Marsh is overplaying a little bit. We haven't had a robust amount of growth. I mean, you look at the numbers over the past several years, and some of that's obviously the economy, which I think tends to turn around a little bit. But the growth has been fairly stable over time, and I think that growth rate for the most part has allowed us to provide a high level of service to our citizens. But we need to make sure that it's appropriate, that you put the growth, you put projects where they're supposed to be, where it fits. Downtown has a certain look, Morganton Road has a certain look, and I think you can have appropriate development. We have a comprehensive long-range plan. You follow that plan. It's not the Bible, but it is a good plan. It was developed by the citizens and leaders of our town, and you couple that with the UDO, and I think you've got a nice blueprint for growth. You have to have some growth. You can't have no growth.
Right.
And finally, my last one is the schools. You talk about quality of life. I've had 3 or 4 friends move from my neighborhood because of the schools. It's great, the restaurants and the downtown, all that's great, but if your friends are moving away from you, that is your quality of life. Mm-hmm. And without new schools, then I think the quality of life in Southern Pines especially, because I think we've gotten the short end of the stick, is going to continue to suffer. So that would be my four main topics right now.
Mm-hmm. We've had the mayor on in the past, and one of the things he spoke about was how proud he was about what is delivered to the citizens of Moore County for the taxes that they pay, that the quality of the services are, at a high level. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the library is outstanding, and our departments and the leaders of those departments are quality people, quality men and women. That we have the only public library, right? In the whole county, one of the best in the state.
Yeah.
But it's a $1 million budget. That's a lot of money that's going towards that library, which directly impacts the quality of life of every citizen.
Do you think a tax increase in Southern Pines is something that could become a reality in the next 3 to 4 years?
A tax increase?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to come from the county, but
right.
I hope and I doubt it's going to come from the town.
Okay.
But you never know what's going to happen. But I hope that we're able to work with what we have.
Right.
And I personally think that there might be some ways you could maybe get a little lean and mean in certain areas, and hopefully our tax base grows a little bit. We've got a couple of nice new developments that are going, appropriate developments around the school that will hopefully increase our tax base as well.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I do want to try to get to everybody as they speak, just a little bit.
No problem.
And no, we're not going to shortchange anybody, I promise. Daniel Kohn, you are running for town council, and the issues most important to you and the priorities and what your proposals would be to address them.
For sure. Let me start, and I'll start with some of the stuff I identify or I see. One is leadership. I think is becoming more challenging. And the reason I say that, going back to some of the discussion here, is the question of revenue. And obviously we're a municipality that's beholden to rules, and we don't make those rules. The state makes them. The Department of Transportation makes them. The General Assembly makes them. So we have to be able to adapt. And I recognize that Southern Pines has done a good job with their budget. You can easily get caught spending too much and then not getting the revenue that you expected. So that is definitely a challenge. When I reach out to people and ask them what they see, a lot of them come back and they tell me growth. And I know the numbers. I've seen the numbers. They don't necessarily reflect this bursting at the seams growth. But I got to say, if we're getting the infill, or maybe it's where the growth is happening, perhaps how it's being managed to a certain degree, or just serendipitous reasons, but that seems to be what a lot of constituents say. They say, and everyone's got a different perspective of how it affects them. And I really think The one thing that will happen is that there's a lot of different perspectives, but I'll go into the third concern, and I share this concern, and I hear this concern coming from many people, is transportation. We have some really, really good tools on the table, and transportation's an interesting thing. It has to happen in conjunction with so many moving pieces, and what you have there is whether or not DOT has access to a project. They don't get to pick and choose what they work on. That comes from either safety money, or it comes because it's on a schedule, or through state transportation improvement funds, which you have to go through a massive process to do. But I believe that we have a great bike plan. We have a great ped plan. Have we spent enough on sidewalks in Southern Pines over the years? I tell you, probably not. I see a lot of people packing their cars up to drive 8 blocks to downtown to a First Friday. It's busy. I wouldn't necessarily want to walk my dog down the road on some of those busier evenings. I'll wait for the evenings or some of the quieter weekend days. So again, but I am sympathetic. It's government. It's government time. These things take time. They take planning. There's just a lot of pieces and moving parts to pull off some of the projects that have been pulled off. And I think it's been really nice to see that DOT has been sensitive. Kimley Horn was hired really to look at to Midland Road, and they've been sensitive to some of the things that keep us extremely unique here as a town. Finally, I'll finish up on something that's important, and I did sit down and meet with some constituents and some concerned people. And my final concern is a lot of people are concerned that downtown may change one day and lose its charm and be not the downtown we know of it as today. I certainly remember when it wasn't much. There were just, maybe a half a dozen stores down there. Mm-hmm. I think we've got to really recognize some of the truly great things we have going on downtown, which are the open spaces and some of the arts and cultural stuff we have going on. Uh-huh. It's fantastic that we have the sunrise and that we can watch people who appreciate the opera walk out one day and then watch people who are into indie films and the Blade Runner stuff the other day. So if we keep those types of things happening, I feel pretty strong that Southern Pines will stay vibrant. So.
One quick question. You talked about growth. Southern Pines has been blessed in the last 10 years with a big influx of younger military families who have chosen to live here over the Fayetteville area. Is that the type of growth you encourage?
It's funny because being asked whether or not I encourage one growth or the alternative growth is not good. I think I've mentioned that in the past. And you have to look at where your strengths are, and if we're desirable from a community, a close by neighbor, I encourage that. Mm-hmm. And they're coming to us because they want to live here.
Right.
It is similar to I would say to a student town, other than students go to a town because they're encouraged to go to a particular college. So it's nice to see when people are making choices where they want to live for a while or consider putting down their roots, that they are looking at Southern Pines to do so.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Last but not least, Carol Haney, and I've known you a long time, and we're both in a similar business, so we've seen some of the growth that Daniel was talking about. What are the 4 or 5 top concerns and priorities for you if you are reelected town council for the next 4 years?
Okay. Thank you. My concerns or issues are sensible growth, public safety and service, and a collaboration for an improved community. When you talk about growth, normal growth is 1.2%, and we are at 1.8, so it's not over the top here. Southern Pines does continue to grow, not only residentially, but as a vibrant, dynamic business community. We have become a destination community because we provide goods and services that the surrounding communities do not. And I think that is the reason on any given day our numbers increase from the normal population of 13,500 to between 40 and 50,000 people. And as such, our growth decisions must balance our community history and our values, and I think we need to base those on we are a small town. We are a family-friendly town. We are multi-generational, and we're inclusive. We have some work to do, and especially in that last area. We must have a balanced, thoughtful, and deliberate approach to commercial and residential development, and we've been working on our zoning and our ordinances, and the couple of weeks ago, we approved 50 changes to the zoning to make it easier for people to support and understand the zoning, because we must be prepared and proactive as we manage growth. And public safety, by that I mean taking care of the fire and the police who keep us safe. It is a fiscal challenge to keep and attract the best people and to offer the services and the benefits that they deserve and they have earned. We did increase our taxes a little bit to increase our police department. The original budget was for 2, and we increased it to 4 additional police officers. And this year, with my help, we did do that. And we also have a new fire substation located near the airport. We're trying to take care of those who take care of us. We need to collaborate with our county commissioners and school board and NCDOT, plus nurture positive relationships with other municipalities, which will allow Southern Pines to navigate our many challenges. And some of those they are coming from Raleigh. We need to be an equal partner as we shape the solution for Moore County. And vital issues, as you all know, the modifications of US 1, 15501, and Midland Road. And last Wednesday night, as you all know, Southern Pines Council unanimously supported the new primary school off of Camp Easter Road with stipulations to deal with the traffic problems. And so one of those is the 100-foot barrier, the annexation of Camp Easter Road, which will reduce the speed automatically to 35. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a roundabout, and the price of the roundabout will be covered by the developer, and a few other things to make it safer. We have not had a new classroom in Southern Pines since 1976, which means my youngest daughter, who's 41, was 2 years old. Excuse me, 1978. I beg your pardon, it was 1978. And I think our children deserve more. And I think we send a strong message to the school board and the county commissioners. And I've talked to the mayor, in fact, last night, with the influx of military and having a military background, mm-hmm. I think we should form some form of committee to how to get the military involved in our community. Just like with Rotary, if you're a new member, you offer them opportunities to how you're going to get involved. Church does the same thing. We should probably do that with our military. Being a history minor, I cannot see taking buildings down. I think we could repurpose them. And with the primary school, this is one of my passions. I would love to see it become a performing arts center, a recreation center, and with all the classrooms, and right there they could be GED classes, art classes, parenting, pottery. The list is endless possibilities. The elementary school could be our downtown town hall. We've got staff all over this town, and it'd be easier if they could all work together, and that's part of our UDO to have a downtown a downtown town hall. Customer service is huge with me. And so we need to all work together for all the citizens. I do envision a community that works together to improve the educational opportunities and outcomes for our children, for all our children, and offering job opportunities so our children could and would return to Southern Pines, because as we all know, this is a wonderful place to raise a family. Yeah. And we need to bridge the real and virtual gap on US 1, leveraging our resources for the betterment of our entire community.
Thank you. Al, how are we on time in this set?
I think we're doing okay. I want to take just a few moments to tell the voters what's going on right now. You talk about not having enough people voting for municipal elections.
Right.
Absentee voting began on October the 6th, and it will continue through October 31st. You can pick up a ballot at the Moore County Elections Office in Carthage, or go to the Internet at www.ncsbe.gov. That's ncsbe.gov, and you can get your form, and then you can mail your ballot to the Moore County Elections Board at Post Office Box 787 in Carthage, or take it to the office. Early one-stop voting begins Thursday, October 19th. And there's just one location, the Ag Center on Pinehurst Avenue in Carthage, across from the elections office. Weekday hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, November 4th, the hours are 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Election Day, there will be 2 voting sites in Southern Pines at St. Anthony Parish Hall on North Ash Street and the Douglas Community Center on West Pennsylvania Avenue. That's what I found on the website. Are there additional
There are
ones?
5.
Okay. How about helping me out on
that?
that?
The Boys and Girls Club, which is Pine Dean, is one. The college is the other, and at the airport is the other. So you've got St. Anthony's, Douglas Center, Boys and Girls Club, college, and the airport.
I should have called the election boards because I thought there were more.
Yeah, there are 5. Yes.
But
We have lots of opportunities for people to show up.
You've got 4 very proactive people at this table prompting you to correct.
That's
okay. I'm waiting for them to do it to me. That's okay. So, Al, when we come back in the third set, are we just going to wrap up? Do we have time to do anything more than that? We're tight on time.
I'm going to check with Dorothy, and we'll let you know.
Just one quick, can I wrap up, or can I say? So everybody has brought up schools in this round, and I just want to ask the question to the table. Does it bother everybody that people are, as has been mentioned, leaving Southern Pines?
They've been doing it for years. When Mike was on council, when Mike was mayor, I've been hearing this for 20 years, the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's time. It's time our children deserve more. They truly do.
Marsh?
It's not a question of whether people support schools or don't support schools.
Right.
It's a question of how you want to use the schools. I'm a product of Moore County Public Schools. And in Mrs. Monroe's class in 3rd grade, I remember her showing me how to cut 2 pumpkins out of the orange construction paper sheet instead of 1 like I was doing. Her point was if you use what you got, you won't need what you want. Therefore, we need to remodel, refurbish, renovate, and rebuild the existing schools before we start talking about leaving them and paying $1 million for a new site.
Okay, thank you to both of you. We're going to come back in the third set. This is All Things Moore County. We're talking all about the Southern Pines Town Council. And the election coming up on the 7th of November. And we'll come back with closing statements in a minute. We're in our wrap-up set in All Things Moore County, speaking with Mitch Lancaster, Daniel Kohn, Carol Haney, and Marsh Smith, candidates for the Southern Pines Town Council. It's obvious that there's a lot of passion at this table for Southern Pines, and everybody has expressed their concerns and some of their priorities. I'd just like to just have everybody, just for a couple of minutes, briefly just kind of wrap up with a closing statement. And Marsh Smith, I want to begin with you.
Ever since I've been attending Southern Pines Town Council meetings, I've faced the accusation, for lack of a better phrase, that people like me value the environment more than jobs. I can remember it going back almost 30 years. And it's not jobs versus the environment. It's which jobs. Do you want more fry cooks at McDonald's, or do you want more farmers and people working at the farmers market? So it's never jobs versus the environment. Similarly, when we talk about growth issues that relate to using our existing schools, albeit after they were remodeled, refurbished, renovated, rebuilt, or building brand new schools on expensive sites with expensive infrastructure, it's not a question of whether one set of advocates cares about children and the other doesn't. It's about what to do to provide the best for these children. And I've had it drilled into my head all my life. If you use what you've got, you won't need what you want. We've got what we need right here. One of my good friends, the Southern Pines treasurer, Earl Wright, he refurbishes bicycles for children. Now, he could have harangued governments for money to buy kids bicycles, but he didn't. He got donations of bicycles that were not needed anymore, or he fished them out of the trash can, and he rebuilt them. He used what he had so he wouldn't need what he wanted. And that's how we ought to handle the school problem, rather than wrecking our beautiful downtown by abandoning these really wonderful schools and neglecting maintenance, which anyone can see has been too long deferred.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming and taking part in this today.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity. It's great to be back.
Pleasure to see you. Carol Haney.
Okay.
We're gonna just go around the table here. Forget about the alphabet. I'm not that smart. Just a 2-minute wrap up, and not that funny. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. The definition of the word change is the act of making a difference, and I think we can make a positive difference. Make do is something that as adults we can do, but when you look at children, make do is not anything I can handle. They need to get the best of what we can do. I'm involved, I'm engaged, and I'm informed.
Right.
I have and I will get things done. You can just ask anybody who knows me. If I have a project, you all have projects.
Right.
I listen. I'm accessible. I'm enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I'm a proven leader, and I'm a problem solver. I love Southern Pines. I give it my all. I give it my heart. It has been good to me. It has supported me through some pretty tough times.
Yeah.
And it has been a privilege to work for the citizens of Southern Pines. And I certainly appreciate the support from the primary. So come out and do it again. Please come out and vote for me on the 7th, keeping Carol Haney on the council. And I thank you. And I thank you, Bill and Al, for this opportunity.
Thanks, Carol. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mitch Lancaster, we want to...
well, you get 2 votes. So I'll take that other one.
Okay.
The other vote.
Okay.
I've really enjoyed this process, and the whole campaign. I get to meet new people. I want to thank you and Albert for putting this together.
Yeah.
This is important for people to hear, and for us to communicate our passions and how we feel.
Right.
I believe that I would be a good choice to be on the council because of my business background. For one, it gives me, I believe, a little bit of a different perspective than maybe some other folks. How to manage people and budgets and whatnot. What comes with that. My love of the town. I've been here 6 years, which is like a lot of people moving into town and diving right in and getting involved in the community and learning who does what and what's important. And I believe that's set me up for this opportunity to serve. And lastly, I think this is important is just you're going to be working with 4 other people, and you need to be easy to get along with, and you've got to be able to listen. You can't really go in with a set agenda,
right?
Because there's going to be so many things that are going to be thrown at you that are going to need to be thought through, and you're going to need to go home and do your homework on it. And and I think I can do that. So I'm about to get the hook. But anyway, I really appreciate y'all having us out today.
And pleasure to meet you too. Thank you very much. Daniel Kohn.
I'd also like to just say thanks to the crew here at WEEB for putting this roundtable together. I'm really happy that people get more of an opportunity to hit the airwaves and hear what's going on. I know we're tight on time, so I will try to keep it pretty fast. I hope Southern Pines will continue to embrace its history. I've seen this actually as recently as what happened with people who understand the historical value of Midland Road, and we're able to get the attention of the state and the Department of Transportation to be sensitive to who we are down here in Southern Pines. And I hope we continue as a town to make the right decisions as we move forward and adapt. And I hope we get an opportunity to serve. I have experience, obviously, with the various committees and the current committee I chair. And we've had some great recent successes of building coalitions and reaching out and getting our state and federal tax dollars back down here to us because of some really well-laid plans and some great execution. So thank you all, and I'll pass the mic.
Daniel, thank you very much, and thank all 4 of you for putting a little bit of definition behind all the signs that are throughout the streets of Southern Pines. And some names might be familiar, some not, but this was an opportunity to talk to people, and we'll have this on podcast as well. And Al, I wanted to thank you for setting this up, and You've also got this set up for next week when we're going to be speaking with Pinehurst, and the week after with Aberdeen.
Now, that is going to be a challenge. There's 7 candidates for Pinehurst, so definitely we're going to have a very very good timing. So we'll work that out.
I hope everybody gets out to vote for many reasons. If you care about the town you live in and you care about the leadership that you have making decisions on our behalf, voting is your way to express it, and it's a responsibility. It's a privilege, but it's also a responsibility. Carol Haney, thank you. Marsh Smith, thank you. Mitch Lancaster, thank you. And Daniel Kohn, thank you guys for coming in and doing this.
Thank you, Bill. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Al.
Yeah, and Al Magnum. Thank you very much. Everybody, have a great week.
Thank you.
Mother has to do